Revered for thousands of years in Asian traditions as the mushroom of immortality, reishi has become one of the most researched and respected adaptogenic herbs in the world. Now, today we're exploring how this particular medicinal mushroom can benefit all of us. So, our guest today is one of the foremost experts on medicinal mushrooms, Mark Kaylor, as he has explored in depth a diverse array of healing practices and traditions from around the world. From a Cherokee reservation to the Amazon rainforest to mountains in China, his studies have led him to develop a truly holistic practice and approach to health and healing, incorporating many traditions and styles. Now, he has worked and consulted in the natural foods industry for close to 40 years as a leading holistic health educator, a formulator, even a radio show host and guest and author. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome back our esteemed guest, holistic health expert Mark Kaylor, to the show. Welcome back.
Thanks. It's good to be here.
Yeah, well, I understand that we're going to be talking about one of your favorite medicinal mushrooms, reishi, which has been called the mushroom of immortality for centuries. Can you share a bit about its historical significance in traditional Chinese medicine and why it's still so revered today?
Sure. Well, you don't really need to go beyond the name Mushroom of Immortality. That alone, yeah, okay. I'm in. I don't need to know anything else. I'm all for adding some years to life. So it does have this long history of being used for traditional health and healing, dating back actually over 2,000 years. In China, it's called Lingzi, and there it translates as spirit plant or divine mushroom. In Japan, it's called Manentaki. Manentaki means 10,000 mushroom, 10,000 year mushroom. And that basically means a long life. 10,000 years generally means immortality. So it's a mushroom that traditionally symbolizes longevity, spiritual power, prosperity, health. And it was so valued back then that it was actually reserved for only the emperor and the elites. Taoist monks used it for meditation and in search of enlightenment. You see it a lot in architecture, in design, in artworks and things. So they've highly prized it and made it clear that this is a very important mushroom for their culture, for their health and healing. Traditionally in Chinese medicine, it's considered a tonic. In fact, what's called a superior herb. And these are remedies of the highest level. They're designed to enhance and prolong life. So medicinally, they used it for vitality, resilience, longevity, respiratory health, liver health, heart health. And the thing I like about it a lot, and I think particularly relevant today, is it's called a Shen tonic. And Shen is the emotional, spiritual center of the body, so to speak. So when you talk about someone having a broken heart, we're not talking about that four-chambered organ in the chest. We're talking about that emotional center, and that's really what Shen is all about. So it calms the mind, nurtures the spirit. And I think, in today's world, we all can probably use a little bit of that. And you ask, how is it looked at today? Well, tremendous amount of studies on it for immune benefits. It's adaptogenic. And all these traditional uses seem to be supported by the science: the liver, brain, heart, lungs, antioxidant, and anti-inflammatory, improving sleep, lowering stress. These have all been supported by science. And I think the four words that really simply explain reishi, if you just want to narrow it down, would be balance, uh, spiritually, mentally, physically, immune-wise, stress-wise, harmony. It harmonizes the body, resilience, that immune benefit, and then wisdom. It helps work with the wisdom of the body, and then I think it can help a little bit with enhancing the wisdom of the mind as well.
Wow, I think I'm going to take a whole bottle of that.
Let me know
Wow,
how it
so
goes.
well, I understand, Mark, that you and I were talking before, and with all the medicinal mushrooms out there, there's reishi, there's cordyceps, there's maitake, shiitake, turkey tail, lion's mane. They all have similar properties, but each one is defined by one particular element that makes it really different. So with reishi, is it the ability to help us to handle stress better? Is that its signature?
Yeah, the adaptogens are one of those areas that are helping us deal with stress, are one of those things that are common in a lot of the mushrooms. Cordyceps, which we've talked about, chaga to some degree. I think a case could even be made for the maitake mushroom as an adaptogen. And these are nutrients, herbs that help us normalize body functions during stress. They basically help the body, respond to stress better, lower cortisol levels, reduce some of that inflammation. And the thing about reishi is it gets back to that balance point. It restores balance. Does that without overstimulating, does that without sedating. It gets us out of that fight or flight mechanism that we too often get into in situations that aren't called for. I mean, traffic does not call for fight or flight. You know, being chased by a tiger in the jungle, yeah, that calls for fight or flight. So it's that element of balance. Reishi is bi-directional, stimulates when it needs to, calms when it needs to. So if you're overstimulated, it calms. If you need to be energized, it can energize. So it's that adaptogenic quality that I think that particular biodirectional balancing action that reishi brings to the table, and then that plus I think that shen element. Those are the two things that I think distinguish it in many ways from the other mushrooms.
Now, I understand that reishi also has a balancing act on the immune system. So, if someone is has a weak immune system and they need a little boost, reishi works with that. But what about those that may have an overstimulating immune system?
Yeah, that's the nice thing about reishi. It's an immune modulator versus an immune stimulator. It contains a number of compounds in there: beta glucans, polysaccharides, triterpenes, and these help modulate the immune system. They don't overstimulate the immune activity. They bring balance to it. So the beta glucans and polysaccharides can increase numbers of the immune cells, can increase activity of the immune cells, basically put them on alert. Then you have these triterpene compounds, which are really important, and they're the anti-inflammatory kind of immune regulating compounds to it. So, you know, if your immune system says, "Hey, I need a little bit of this," you know, let's create more cells to do this task, it can do that. If it says, "Okay, we got overactivity going on here," as you do with an autoimmune disorder or an allergy, it calms, it slows that overreaction. And again, it works very holistically because a lot of these things get translated through the liver as well. Reishi is excellent for the liver. And the way it works within the immune system, it actually regulates what's called cytokine production. Cytokines are chemical messengers of the immune system. It's your immune system saying, we need more of these cells, we need less of these cells, we need immune cells, let's say in your lungs. The task is done. It's time to stop, you know, producing these immune cells. So it enhances that communication within the immune system, and that's really fundamental about how it goes about this balancing action. And I think fundamentally, it just comes down to I don't know, the gift of nature. You know, I mean, trying to explain this in chemical and physiological terms. You know, at a certain point, you got to get to there's the wisdom of the mushroom, and there's the wisdom of the body. There's the wisdom of nature, and it's these things coming together that bring this balance and this knowledge of, okay, we need to do this, we need to stop doing that. So reishi basically teaches the immune system to respond intelligently, you know, strong when it needs to, calm, you know, when it doesn't need to, and that certainly is what's called for in autoimmune disorders.
Well, you had mentioned the last time when we were talking about cordyceps, about how it works by spurring on and improving the antioxidants in the body's own ability to create them. How does reishi work in the areas of antioxidants within our body now?
Yeah, in many ways, very similar to cordyceps. It has its own antioxidants, those polysaccharides and triterpenes I talked about, all are antioxidants, but then it also increases the body's natural productions, the endogenous antioxidants. The one that I said before are the more powerful antioxidants, the real gift of these antioxidant supporting compounds. So it increases superoxide dismutase, glutathione peroxidases, catalases. All these things are what the body produces naturally to do this, and it can have a number of benefits. It can protect the DNA, protect the telomeres, the little tips of our genetic structure. It protects the cells, the cell membranes, the mitochondria, those engines that drive the cells. And it's this protecting action throughout the body that really brings these larger gifts that we can experience, you know, the energy boost, the mental clarity, the immune support, because we're working better on a cellular level that allows the systems and things to work better in that regard. So it's an excellent antioxidant, and it's this long time, regular long term use of it that really brings the gift of it. It's not something you just want to take for a couple of days. It's something basically I think you want to take for the rest of your life. It reduces what you call cellular rust. Anytime you have oxygen in the body, there's going to be rust in the mitochondria, in the cells. So it helps prevent that. So if your cells are working more effectively, your mitochondria are working more effectively, then you're going to get these benefits. And it can help with longevity. These antioxidant properties reduce what's called cellular senescence. senescence we're hearing a lot about in the longevity community right now. It's when cells stop dividing properly and they create a lot of problems. Again, DNA repair, mitochondrial health, and sirtuins, these enzymes that are really important to not just health span, but also lifespan. And it's been interesting to show that it actually protects collagen and skin from this oxidative damage. So it provides that cumulative protection against this age-related decline. And these antioxidants, I think, are key because there are a lot of different ones. You don't want to take just one antioxidant in isolation. The more you take them in compounds, or you take them in something like reishi, where there are a number of them. That's where you get the real benefits from.
It's like when people think of the term antioxidant, they're thinking of vitamin C, they think of maybe N-acetylcysteine, they're thinking of vitamin A, zinc has an antioxidant property to it. But when it comes to medicinal mushrooms, they're on a whole different level when it comes to improving the antioxidant levels in our own body.
Yeah, absolutely, because they increase the body's own production of it. And what's important too, when you go and look at the research on antioxidants, you'll hear a lot of conventional medicine practitioners or supporters say the research doesn't support antioxidants. And that's sort of true. And it's because they're using antioxidants in isolation. They need to be used together. When you use them together, or when you use them in compounds like cordyceps and reishi, where it has a number of antioxidants and it boosts the body's own production of antioxidants, that's when you see these profound benefits. It's not when you use these things in isolation.
So, how does reishi work in, let's say, the areas of inflammation, metabolism, even cardiovascular health? And how would one use reishi into their daily wellness program?
Yeah, well, reishi, the phrase I've used to kind of explain reishi is the tonic for the 21st century. If you look at the conditions we're confronted with, heart disease being number one, cancer being number two, if you look at the leading causes or contributors to health conditions, chronic disease, the antioxidants, the inflammation, stress, all these things are benefited by reishi. That's why I say it's the tonic for the 21st century. It calms chronic inflammation, which we know is the root cause for virtually all, if not all, chronic diseases, supports healthy circulation, blood vessel function, lowers blood pressure, lowers LDL cholesterol, raises HDL cholesterol, lowers triglycerides. Triglycerides are a really good measure not just of your cardiovascular health, but also a predictor of longevity. Improves oxygen efficiency. Your lungs are taking up more oxygen. It gets it to the heart better. And two things which we're seeing in the science are becoming more and more important and relevant are blood sugar and insulin sensitivity. And insulin sensitivity is how well our cells respond to the on button of insulin. So it utilizes these sugars. And insulin sensitivity, insulin resistance, is at the root of all these conditions you're talking about: the inflammation, metabolic disorders, cardiovascular disease, cancer, Alzheimer's, even in some cases. So it improves that insulin sensitivity, works the liver. We know that we live in a polluted world. That helps in that regard. We hear a lot about microbiome and how that affects all these other elements. It supports a healthy microbiome, and then that, healthier stress response just has a profound impact across the board. So, again, it works on all these things because it works on a number of systems as well as down to, that mitochondria and that cellular level.
Well, I know that I take the Mushroom Wisdom Reishi, which is the fruiting body, which is like the best you could ever take. How would someone take reishi on a daily basis? Like what time of day?
Yeah, there's a difference in opinions in that regard. I like to take it at the end of the day when you're starting to unwind and relax. Instead of that glass of wine, I'd prefer someone take some reishi, and then take it before bed because studies have shown that it can improve sleep quality. It can kind of quiet that chattery mind that we get oftentimes. Because when I get in bed, my brain just starts going, "Oh, I should do this. I need to do this tomorrow." I start getting all these great ideas. I better bring a pad or a recorder. It quiets that mind so you can fall asleep more easily. And then it helps get a deeper, more profound, more rejuvenating quality of sleep. So taking it at the end of the day kind of calms, quiet, relaxes, improves that sleep quality. I think that's the time of day to do it. But it's really important. Quality is such an issue with reishi, even more so with all the other mushrooms. I think a study that was done, they looked at, it was an independent study. They looked at 19 different reishi products. They took them off of shelves. They bought them on Amazon. Only five of those reishi products actually passed the test. The super reishi, which is the one I used, was one of the five that actually passed. And the other 14 showed actually no reishi in it whatsoever. And sadly, even the number one reishi on the marketplace today was in that category that failed in that regard. So, make sure you get good, high quality reishi. Again, I like the super reishi from fruiting body. You want it extracted both in alcohol and in water, so you get those polysaccharides and beta glucans and dry terpenes. And then play with it a little bit. See how it works for you. I think it's a mushroom that you can really kind of develop a relationship with over time. But the important thing is the benefits are cumulative. The longer you take it, the greater the benefits. And consistency is key. It's not one of those things that I'm stressed now, I'm taking reishi, it alleviates the situation. It's I'm going to take it every day so that my stress levels every day are lower and are dealt with in a healthier manner.
Yeah, I take my cordyceps in the morning with my chaga, and then I take my reishi late in the afternoon or the evening. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, I use the super reishi from Mushroom Wisdom that Mark Kaylor had just mentioned. And Mark, where can all of my viewers and listeners connect with you?
I have a website. It's called radianthealthproject.org. I actually started a nonprofit called the Radiant Health Project. And the idea is to move us away from kind of that Western modality of treating disease, treating symptoms. And this is all about maximizing your health and vitality, being the best you can possibly be, increasing health span, increasing lifespan. Because if you increase lifespan without increasing health span, those final years aren't as enjoyable as they could be. So it's all about kind of moving the topic of conversation to increasing that duration of health and that duration of lifespan.
I love that. Ladies and gentlemen, head over to Mark Kaylor's website, radianthealthproject.org. It's on your screen. You will find great health tips, amazing articles, and even you can listen to his podcast. And remember, we've been talking about reishi, which truly bridges the wisdom of ancient herbal traditions with modern scientific understanding, supporting the body, the mind, and the spirit in remarkable ways. And Mark, I want to thank you so much for shedding light on why this mushroom of immortality continues to inspire wellness seekers from around the world. And can't wait for our next conversation.
Yeah, thanks. It's always a pleasure talking with you, and it's always a pleasure talking about racing.
Awesome. Now, ladies and gentlemen, head over to mushroomwisdom.com or call them today at 1-800-747-7418. Use the promo code BOND20. Again, that's 1-800-747-7418. Use the promo code BOND20. Order online at mushroomwisdom.com. They will be glad to answer any questions that you may have about the Super Reishi mushroom and their other great mushroom supplements. And remember, Mark Kaylor just told us, reishi and other mushroom products have been tested, and they have found out that the ones that are coming from Mushroom Wisdom are the real deal, the fruiting body. That's the ones you want, because that's where that's where the magic is found, is in the fruiting body. So for more science-backed insights into natural therapies, stay tuned, stay informed, and stay well, and I'll be right back with a little bit more.